Jak eich sitini Johan gunalchi shatia adi ach tu jak edat chat ko den ina ani kaye chatia ti anchit yudu sag ya an ka anchit ko late katlan ya yagi. Hi everybody, thank you for coming. It's good to see you. I feel good to see you. I'm over here in Dena'ina land in Anchorage, and the snow here is so deep. And so I've been home for a few days, not really trying to drive, but I enjoy looking out my window and seeing the snow. So good to see you all. Today is week 10, day 1. So we have this week and next week, and then we'll take a nice winter break for everybody and resume again on January 10th. That's a Tuesday. So the phrase I wrote at the top, oh, by the way, Shak Sunnykeek isn't able to make it today, but we'll check in and hopefully she'll be able to come on Thursday. So you'll be with me and I'll take good care of you. So at the top of the slide here, I shared a phrase and it means thank you for being with us. And I'm saying it to a group of people. So the way you would say this is "Kunalchish ha'in chi." So let's practice. Repeat after me just the last word. Yi sati. Yeah. And the middle two words means with us. And repeat after me. Ha'in. That underline X is nice and gravelly and flowy. One more time. Ha'in. So that last part, repeat after me. Ha'in chisati. Now let's take it from the top. The whole phrase. Gunalchish ha'in chisati. Okay. So that means thank you all for being with us. So on the menu for today, we'll start with a Q&A discussion. We have some follow-up information regarding last week's question about the different K sounds. So we'll share some of the X's and also share some additional resources you can look into because we won't cover all of the sounds in our last couple of weeks, but just wanting to let you know where you can go to learn more. We have some additional information for you for the self-introduction. We'll do a little bit of pronunciation practice and phrase review, and then we have new material. So let's get started. Before I jump into resources on the alphabets, are there just any general questions or comments from you all? No pressure if you don't have questions now. You can feel free to let me know throughout the class. So I'm going to share these links in the chat, but you can find different sound charts of the alphabet in the beginning Lingit workbook, pages 6 to 12, as well as beginning Lingit, which is the first textbook I used that was compiled and edited by Nora Marks Downhauer and Richard Downhauer. So let me share these. Okay, so those links are in the chat, and then I'll just take you through them and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you look in Beginning Lingit by the Dauenhauers, on page 6-9, you'll find a technical sound chart and how to make the sounds. So let's go check it out. So there's an introduction to spelling. This portion of Beginning Lingit describes some of the vowels if you need help on English references for how to describe the vowels.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't unmute for some reason, but now I can.
Oh, ik erg Satini. Okay, here we are. So if you look at this page, there's a graph or a chart that sort of shows you the different G, K, and X sounds. And depending on whose resource you're looking in, the number of sounds might be counted differently. But don't let that confuse you too much. This is just one way you can look at the different sounds. So we have an alphabet chart here. This is a great way to table to look at and kind of practice your sounds. And the other resource, if you're interested, is the Beginning Tlingit workbook, the second edition. This is by René Lance Twitchell. And pages 6 to 12 describe the alphabet as well. So we'll just check it out. There's a picture here of where in your mouth you make the sounds, if this is helpful. And then here's your alphabet, and Jone included a picture so that you have an example word and a picture to study for each sound. So are there any questions on these resources before we move on? Okay, if not, we wanted to propose more information you can choose to add to your self-introduction as an option. So Shaksani Keek asked me to share with you that this is definitely not a requirement, but if you do know information about your grandparents' nationalities and clans, as well as your clan houses, I will share with you some ways that you can include that into your self-introduction today. And we'll use the same format we've been teaching you with just some additional optional lines. So we talked about, oh yeah, go ahead, Askatuyak Shah.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask for the introductions, if it would be okay if at the end I added in who I was married to, because it kind of explains my relationship to the Tlingit Nation. So if my husband's Tlingit, is that okay if I put that in and then put his clan?
Yeah, and I've heard people refer to their in-laws as Khaniyan.
Kaniyan. Okay.
Yeah, I forget what clan is Dish.
Deshitan.
Deshitan. So you could say
Yeah.
Deshitan Khaniyan.
Okay. Because I was just like, how do I say I'm your wife? But okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice way to like if you're speaking to a crowd and you see Deshitan people, it's a really nice way to acknowledge them when you see them in the room.
Could you type that in the chat how to say they're my in-laws?
Yeah.
Gonna cheese.
Uh, I'm just gonna do a spell check. So this is the chapter we would find this information in the beginning Lingit workbook. Under how are you called, there's some our Lingit identity, as well as introduction templates. And so this is where I'm gonna look. Okay, I don't see it here. So my next resource would be the dictionary. So this word Connie appears 11 times in the dictionary, as you can see in my search bar. And I always search through all of them when I want to check spelling and meaning. And there's just so much information in the dictionary entries that it's always good to read through. So here under the entry for hus, which is a kinship term, which pluralizes the kinship terms, you can see an alternative. So sometimes, like if you're talking about my grandparents and you want to make it plural, you would say hus, and hus is what pluralizes it. But for certain kinship terms like khani for my in-laws, you would instead make it plural by adding yan. So khani yan, and I'll type it in the chat.
Gonna cheese.
Do you guys remember what this dash means before khani? The dash means that you need to attach a possessive pronoun to it in this case. So kaniyan needs to be somebody's kaniyan. So in your case, you would say kaniyan. So I typed that as well. And then I scrolled through the next appearance of the word kani in the dictionary, and I found its own entry. And so you can just see more about it here. It's a kinship term. It has to do with a sibling or in-law, opposite clan member. So there's just more fun, interesting information there. Kaudiakta.
So if you were to use this in a sentence, like for my husband, would he say like ishkitan ach kani yan?
Yeah, you could say ishkitan khaniyan.
Ach, goodness, sheesh.
Okay. Okay, sorry, this is so small. Let me fix it. Like, hey, good questions. Okay, so we did go over closing your introduction with "Gonalchish hoho." So everybody repeat after me. "Gonalchish hoho." Yeah. And the next step would be just to translate your self-introduction for an audience. And I included a translation here if you need to take a screenshot or take notes, just so that you have something to practice. So that, for example, if you're asked to go on stage in a conference and introduce yourself, I highly recommend practicing ahead of time. Yeah, memorize it if you can, no pressure, so that when you do go up into public speaking spaces, you're able to project the love and intention that you want to convey to your audience, to people who are listening to you, and trying not to get tongue-tied. It'll happen to the best of us, but so yeah, here's a English translation if you need it. And so the whole self-introduction, if I were to do it, and in the second line, I'll replace Lingit with Qonana because my family is Athabascan. So my whole self-introduction would be Tleitqach Einach Ana Yuchat Duasak Qonana Einach Nila Toga Yuchat Duasak Ingenen Kwan Khat City Qonana Yedi Ayechat Gashta Kwan Ayechat Anchich Yechat Yeti Gunaltish Ho Ho. Hi, my English name is Anna Clark. In Koyakan, I'm called Nila Toga. I am English American, and I am child of the Athabascan people. I'm from Caltag. I currently live in Anchorage. Thank you. So that's just one way you could deliver your self-introduction. Do you have any questions about that?
Is there a greeting in Tlingit, like a short greeting, like when you're passing someone on the street, like we would say hello in English or anything like that?
The only one I always test it out when I see people. If I see a speaker, I'll try something. And one thing that I'll often say is just, it's good to see you. Ik erg satini. One time Khane said to me, he saw me in passing and he just said, how? But that's less of a hello and more of like a, oh, kind of a like a little bit surprised to see you. And mostly when I see an elder in passing, like at AFN or at school or at the grocery store, I'll just go up to them and say, "Yik ech sitini," and then their name, Kenka Danik, or whoever I see. Yeah. Does that help?
This is Jackie. Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
I had asked like my elders about that long time ago, and they said we just didn't say things like that. We didn't waste words. Words were like money and they're important. And so we didn't just say hello. We were more intentional, like when you say "Hey, Kwasatini," you're like, "How are you?" You know, you're more intentional than just saying hi. So that's why we don't really have some of those words like that.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, I would say that too when I do see an elder and I want to talk. I kind of just mentally make space to have a conversation, ask how they are, and be there to listen to the response. Yeah. Did you have a specific type of person you like in an example? Code Akta.
I'm just thinking like before introduction as well, like when we stand up in front of a crowd or whatever, when you kind of welcome or, say hello, that sort of thing, instead of just jumping right into my name is kind of thing.
Okay, that's a really good question. Let me write some down. Oops. Okay, that is such a good question because it brings to surface the need to welcome, like if you are in that situation contextually in a crowd, the first thing you want to do is make people feel welcome, thank them for coming, thank them for listening to you. And so these are some of the phrases you can use. And the first one just means it's good to see you. It's for addressing multiple people. And the first word, repeat after me, or let me make it bigger here. Okay, the first word in this phrase, repeat after me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the second word, yichsatini. Mm-hmm. So the whole phrase, yichsatini. Mm-hmm. Make sure that when you say you're pinching the K. So instead of yake, it's yake. So everybody, just one more time, that word, repeat after me. Yake. Mm-hmm. It kind of snaps off the K. Next one is thank you for coming here to multiple people. So repeat after me. Gonalchish hati adi. Mm-hmm. And the next one is, so the next line has some underlined X's, and one of them is an underlined pinched X. So before we practice the whole line, let's start with the word eight. So eight means mouth, to the mouth, and eight means to my mouth. So that eight is going to have like a nice underline, gravelly back of the throat and pinched. So if you need to take a sip of water, go ahead. And repeat after me, just the one word, eight.
Eight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the last word is, repeat after me, Yisaachi.
Yisaachi.
Mm-hmm. Now repeat after me, eight.
Eight.
Mm-hmm. Eight Yisaachi.
Yisaachi.
Mm-hmm. And the whole phrase, Gunalchi Shach Yisaachi.
Yisaachi.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the last line I really like. I was taught this by Kagwas Ishmael Hope when a few of us in this class were together in beginning Lingit, and he gave us an assignment to welcome another class to our class. And so this is one of the phrases he taught us. And it means, I feel great just looking upon your faces.
Right.
It's a really warm phrase. And so the last word means for me to be looking. And so repeat after me. Akhwashqini. Okay. Now the last two words together. Yat akhwashqini. That yacht is like at the face. To make it your all faces, it's ye yacht. So let's do the last three words. Ye yacht akhwashqini. Now let's do just the first three words. Tuwu yake. And the whole line. Tuwu yake ya takhwashqini. Okay. Do you have any questions on those? Thank you for adding context to your question, Codes Akhtla, because it's just culturally very nice to welcome people, like you said before, just jumping into introducing yourself.
Ganashi.
And Shirley, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, it's a comment more than a question. I really appreciate this has been asked because I know my elder sister always gets, and actually other speakers in Chan or cliche when the way the people speak is a lot of people who don't speak the language. Particularly Indigenous people will do some learning but not realize the context. So they will come and they will address a crowd. And usually they ask two things. They ask is the key, Dunja or Danaja, which is really asking a question. So if you have 300 people in the crowd, none of whom know what you're saying, but they're not all going to say, okay, we're fine or we're not. But also people believe that's how we say, hi, how are you? Like, good to see you kind of thing. So this is really important, I think, is to have this kind of knowledge, especially if we're chatting with people who are not, who are not Indigenous, and those that come from another Indigenous language speaking group. I really appreciate this question. I just wanted to say thank you for it, as well as these phrases you shared with us.
Okay, good enough cheese. On our next week, we'll take a look at some videos, and I highly recommend looking at the YouTube channel from Sea Alaska Heritage Institute of their celebration playlists, especially from the older years when elders would get up on stage and address a crowd. You can kind of hear how they do it too. And I'll try to include some videos like that next week. So while we're doing pronunciation, let's review the X's. So last week we worked on the different K sounds, and there are 8 of them, but not all of them we had covered yet in class. So this week we'll review the X sounds, but we'll just do words that we've done that we're familiar with. So the underline X is gravelly in the back of your throat, but this one's not pinched, so it's not going to be like a sharp sound. It's just going to flow. So repeat after me. Kitchan.
Kitchan. Kitchan.
Ayechat. Nachatsati. And an X, regular X with no underline or pinch, is still, it sounds a little lighter. You can say it up here in the roof of your mouth. You're just blowing wind. It sounds like the wind blowing. So for the word for north wind, repeat after me. Hoon. Now a similar sound, same area, but now you're going to pinch it. You're going to kind of close the air on it. And it's a sound. So in the word at Anchorage, I'm at Anchorage. Repeat this phrase after me. On chichyechatyati. Yeah. I love that you slowed down because you gave yourself that space. And again, another location, it's used again as a location marker in the word schoon. So schoon means school. And if you're at school, you add that at the end. So repeat after me. Schoon. And kuik. Next one, similar to 8, is underline pinched X. Underline puts it in the back of your throat, and then a pinch makes you squeeze the air out on it. So repeat after me. Einach.
There
you go. Next one is a rounded underline. So you're going to round your lips like you're making a W sound and make the X in the back of your throat. So repeat after me. Okay. Any questions on those? I think you sounded great. Okay, 2 phrases we wanted to highlight the difference of are these 2 words, siku, which means you know, and I highlighted it in blue. And then another word that is somewhat similar, but it's pronounced differently and it has a different meaning. So we really wanted to drive this one home, is that skoon is a Tlinkitized word for school. So it's just a Tlingit pronunciation for the English word school. And we wanted to highlight them because they're kind of similar, but we don't want folks to confuse them. So let's practice the differences. So first of all, just the word siku means you know. I wrote it in blue on the slide. So repeat after me, siku.
Siku.
Cool.
Mhm. And then the Tlingit word for school with the location marker at the end, that pinched X. Repeat after me, skoon.
Skunk.
One more time, siku
Siku.
and skoon. So let's do the whole phrase now. The top one, do you still know Tlingit? Repeat after me. Yesuga siku Tlingit.
Siku Lingit.
Okay. And the next line, yes, they're teaching me at school. Skoon kadosh too. Okay. Okay, you guys sound good. Do you have any questions on those? Okay, let's get into the added option for your self-introduction to add information about your grandparents or your clan and or your clan houses. So this graphic on my screen is a screenshot from the beginning Tlingit workbook, page 74. And the word Dutchchen means grandchild. And so this is one option for adding, if you say who you're the grandchild of in your self-introduction, you can say the clan of your grandparents and then say Dutchchen. So everybody repeat after me, Dutchchen. And you'll notice in the English translation, it just says grandchild of blank, period. So this is not a complete sentence, but when you're talking about yourself, you might not bother to use complete sentences because you're just acknowledging clans. The whole point is to acknowledge people in the room who are of that clan and uplift them rather than going on and on about myself, for example, if I'm doing this. So there's an English description down below grandchild of, and it says, we honor the clans of the parents of our parents by calling ourselves a grandchild of that clan. This can be either the clan of a mother's father or a father's father. So in my situation, my dad's dad is Iak, so I might say Iak Dutchchen. Now there's another phrase below it, and it's for referring to your outer shell. And it's aya achdakanuk. So let's practice that, just the last word. Repeat after me. Dakanuk. That pinched XU sounds like Repeat after me. Repeat after me. Dakanuk. There you go. And the whole phrase. Aya achdakanuk. So in the English description, it says, this is a term of high respect and refers to the mother's father's clan. So mine would be German. So I might say, Jamin Kwanaya Akhtakanuko. But if you're Lingit on your mother's side and you know your mother's father's clan, and for example, if they're Deshitan, you might say Deshitanaya Akhtakanuko. Any questions about that? Okay. Now, as far as your clan house goes, there are a couple options here as well. Again, these are from the beginning Lingit workbook by René. And the English description is our clan house is called blank. So you could put the clan house if you know it. For example, if you're from Diskhit, you would say Diskhit yudu asak hanakahidi. So let's repeat that whole phrase after me, starting with you. You do a sak hanakahidi.
You
do
do
a
a
sock,
Nakahidi.
So if you're from Gagan Hit, you would say, repeat after me. Gagan Hit, you do a sak hanakahidi.
I forgot the first word already.
Oh yeah, Gagan Hit.
Gagan hit.
Yo do a sock
Nakahidi.
Yeah. An alternative for describing your clan house is just to say, this is our clan house. So repeat after me. Ayaha nakahidi.
Ayaha.
Ayaha Nakahidi.
And the hit is an H. So go ahead and keep it nice and flowy and light. You don't want to add any friction to it. So one more time. Ayaha nakahidi.
Nakahidi.
There you go. These are the same phrases that are just taken from a later page in the book and the introduction template. And so it's just kind of show how you can flow through the different parts of your self-introduction. And in this next slide, I highlighted them in blue. And you can add these if you want. And again, they're optional. They're not required. It's just if you know your grandparents' clan and your clan house and you want to add it, you can.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for like the first part, it says mother's nationality, but then I also I originally put Wushkitan for that part, but now I'm thinking it would make more sense as like the last part, after Wushkitan Ayaha Nakahidi. So what would I put for then the mother's nationality part?
That would be your mother's nationality would be Wushkitan Nachatsati. I am Wushkitan because that's what your mother is. And then if you know your clan house within the Wushkitan clan,
okay.
that would be a separate clan house name.
Okay.
So a clan can have multiple houses.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Gunas cheese.
Goodness cheese. Good question. Are there any other questions on this? Okay. I thought we weren't gonna have enough time, and then we blew we blew through everything. So what else do you guys want to know about? Let's have an open discussion. Could be that. If anyone wants to try their whole self-introduction, this is a good time. Askatiyak Shah.
Mine was just a comment to shout out if anyone saw the Molly of Denali at the Emmys, and the woman who voices her, she did her introduction in Tlingit as well as another language, and I can't remember which one, apologies, but it's really fun to see it kind of on the national stage. I've heard it, so it's on all over YouTube if you take a look.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to that team. Awesome team of Indigenous creators. Very cool. Skinyata, did you check it out?
Yes, I did. She's Muckleshoot and Tlingit. So she did her intro in Tlingit, and it was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of Tlingit bling there, so that's what I really liked. But I had a question about your notes, and you have it formatted so beautifully. Do we have access to those, or I mean, just so I can maybe download on a thumb drive and print or something?
Yeah, let me
Because my notes are like a big fat mess.
I feel you. Some days are like that for me too. And then some days I feel like I do pretty good. Was there only one page you wanted? Do you want me to paste it in the chat, or do you want the whole PDF, or what would be helpful?
Well, how many pages are there? Because I'm looking at, from what I can see on the screen there, we're looking at 20 plus. I would love to have all of them.
Okay, let me just
Yeah.
let me just download it and I'll put it in the chat. And I also, for people who are on that Tovuti website for our learning platform, I also upload them there, but this is kind of probably easier. Let me just add it in the chat.
And can I say another thing, Latola? She does an amazing job at taking notes all the time. And I think learning her system is going to be very helpful to you. I know I copy how she, you'll see like how she does the tables where the Tlingit and the English, and it just makes it easier to later find in your notes like that. So I urge you to kind of follow some of those examples. It will really help you in the long run.
Yep, I love studying with you. And this is the table format that I use that's commonly used for transcription of Tlingit recordings and then translation into English. The reason I like this is because you know what to expect. The left hand is Tlingit, right side is English, and then you can make your font smaller beneath it. When you start getting into a habit of breaking down each component of a phrase, this is a good way to do it because you just look straight down for the meaning of what you're written above. And then this is also the format you'll see in dictionaries for a gloss, as well as a lot of the linguistic work that's done by Zeosh and Nuchane and Jeff Lear. So it's helpful for me to know like which part is what, and I recommend it. Yeah. And Kathy Lawrence.
Yes, thank you. I seem to stumble over this one when we're learning to do our self-introduction, and it's the one that says, I currently live at.
Okay.
I wonder if you could, if I give you 2 or 3 community names, if you could pronounce it for me. I was getting that X. I thought, how do we put it in there? So I was thinking of like, could you say Skagway?
Yep, let me just spell check the place name really quick. Okay, Skagway. So the word for Skagway, this is what I'm looking at here is the beginning Tlingit workbook. under Lingit Ani Kasago, names on Tlingit land. And what's written here in the description is heartwooded place from Ushigaguya, referring to the driftwood that was weather beaten heartwood. That's cool.
Oh, wow. You know, I always heard it was home of the north wind.
Oh yeah, Huna is like shelter from the north wind, Hunia, and then
Oh,
Shkakwe. I've heard another translation of Shkakwe, but I can't remember it too. But Shkakwe. So the first G in Shkakwe is underlined, so it'll be in the back of your throat, kind of like a raven sound. How it's kind of deep in the throat.
Shkakwe.
Yeah, Shkakwe.
Shkakwe.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you say it when you add that X at the end?
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
That's what's throwing me.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a good question. Oops.
Yeah.
And so for the pinched X at the end, you're just going to add a sound that sounds like this. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so Shkagwe. So repeat after me. Shkagwe.
Shkagwe. Shkagwe.
Mm-hmm. And then everyone can repeat after me the whole phrase. Shkagwe ye khatyati.
Shkagwe ye khatyati.
Yeti.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yay. Hot Yeti.
Yeah, you sound good.
So how about Haynes de Shu? How?
Okay. So for Haynes, let me double check if it's a high tone U really quick. Oh yeah, high tone U. So this one would be De Shuk Ye Khatyati.
De Shu Ye Khatyati.
De Shu Ye Khatyati.
Yeah, yeah. Well.
You got that skin, Yakla? For some reason, that X on the end was throwing me when I was trying to speak.
Yeah, you're just kind of basically closing off the vowels with that pinched X. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Buenos dias.
You sound good. Kade kaidu kaku.
Hello.
Yeah,
I was just curious. I was just wondering, as we wrap up this year, and I believe we have a couple more classes for this course. What could we expect for upcoming courses or for the upcoming new year? Well, will we have any more opportunities to continue what we're learning?
Okay. We still have to plan our spring term, and I have a feeling that Shaksani Keek has a good idea of what she wants to cover. And she teaches me our lesson planning, so I follow her lead. But do you have any this will be a continuation. Our spring term will be a continuation. So new students are welcome. They don't have to have taken fall, but we will be covering new material from what we've done. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any requests or anything that specifically you're hoping to include?
Yeah, I'm just looking to continue. I really appreciate the group opportunity to talk with other people. I've been practicing for a while, but it helps so I can practice my pronunciation, and so I have instructors to help me fine tune what I'm trying to learn. So gonna see Chaplain.
Gonna teach how to go there. Kachtu.
Will we continue to have access to the to everything on the student website? I mean, I'm hoping I'll continue to have access because I've missed classes and I'd like to go back and make them up. And so I'm hoping that I'll have access through, you know, until at least until the beginning of the next term.
Oh yeah, I believe you should. And I'll send a follow-up email to Lingit and Haida, just clarifying that you'll still have access to the online website, the learning platform.
Thank you.
Uh,
Goodness cheese.
Yeah, Kati.
And I do have a, you were asking if we have any questions.
Uh-huh.
I would love to hear anything you'd like to share about your own journey of learning Lingit.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. I am Khoikhon Athabaskan and IAG, and yet I've been on this 5-year language learning journey in Tlingit. And so for me, the reason this happened was I used to be on work on tugboats. And when I turned 30, I thought, okay, I'm ready to learn my own language and become a language teacher. And at that time, my heritage language of Khoikhon Athabaskan was not offered in the university, but Tlingit was, and I just kind of jumped on the opportunity because I know that Tlingit is related to Khoikhon. And also I know that the Tlingit language community is extremely resourceful and uplifting and organized. So I was like, I'll just start learning Tlingit and hopefully this will help me. And it's been so uplifting to me. It's helped me kind of look at myself through the lens of a Native woman identity and sort of use the Tlingit introduction template to think about my own heritage. And I learn Khoikhon on Wednesdays at lunch through a grassroots group. But in the meantime, I went to Juneau. I took advantage of the scholarship program funded by Sea Alaska Heritage. And so the Tlingit language and people have just done so much for me. And so when I look at my goal to become a Tlingit language learner and teacher, I look at that as being a lifelong relationship. And so I hope to use what I've been learning in Tlingit to, you know, teach and learn my own language as well. But yeah, this is where I'm at.
Now I want to know all about your adventures on the tugboats, but I know this is the time for it. How exciting.
Yeah, we should have coffee times or something like that to chat and talk about our language journeys. Yeah.
Goodness cheese. So grateful for your teaching. Thank you.
Goodness cheese.
Goodness cheese, Johan. Chatsuach tu yik yin chatsati. So if there aren't any more questions, the only homework I have you is to check out those resources, the Beginning Tlingit, as well as Beginning Tlingit workbook. And oh, I do see questions. Let's see, Edna, or comments?
Yeah, just a comment, Anna. A while back, I asked if there was a Tlingit term for Filipino, and I asked Shirley told me that she hadn't heard of any. Then I asked my sister who lives in Juneau, and she said, and I can spell it because of course I can't pronounce it.
Okay.
Ayheeyaa.
Ayahiya.
Ayahiya. And what she said is that is the name for Filipinos, according to Lance, who said it was heard by somebody in Yakutat.
Okay.
So if there are any other Filipino Yadis in the class, we can use that in our introduction.
Okay. Okay, let me type it in the chat. Let me see. You said AYAHEEYAA.
Yes.
Okay. And Kade Kaidekak, did you have another question or comment?
Oh, no, not right now. Thank you. Just, I think we already went over my question.
Okay, all right, Yuhan, that's it for today. Thank you so much for your work and your questions. And we'll see you back here on Thursday at noon. Kunastish,